Welcome to FootballGamePlan.com, where football makes sense. I'm Memory Hunt, the czar of the playbook. Bring you our Arena Football League Week 2 Wraparound, where we're going to take you around all of the games that are on the Week 2 slate in Arena Football. But let's get the video kicked off by breaking down the Arizona Rattlers and the Utah Blaze. This is a big battle in the West Division. So let's start with Arizona in this matchup. When you look at what happened last week, they knocked off the Philadelphia Soul, which is a very impressive ball club, outstanding offensive attack with the running game, and they were able to shut these guys down defensively. And that's what I came away most impressed with last week for the Rattlers, was how well their defense played. And you look at quarterback Nick Davila, did a great job facilitating the football, 7 touchdown passes. The offense picked up right where they left off in 2012. Now, when you look at the Utah Blaze in this game, they matched up last week versus a team in Pittsburgh that was a very young team, not as good. And although Tommy Grady is an excellent quarterback, had 5 touchdowns last week, he didn't look as sharp as we're used to seeing him play. Only about 51% of his passes were completed, but I was highly impressed as well with their defense. They were up 34-14, so they kind of took their foot off the brakes and kind of eased into a victory. That defense played very well. You look at some defensive stalwarts that they had, Maurice Leggett, David Highland. These guys played exceptionally well. They had 4 sacks last week. Now, if that defense comes to play versus Arizona, this could be a Utah Blaze victory. So when you look at these two teams, two outstanding teams in the West Division, big battle very early in the season, I like Utah to bounce back and win this game with an impressive showing. Although both teams are 1-0, I want to see Utah perform better. I think they will, and I think they knock off the Rattlers. Now let's take a look around the Arena Football League schedule, starting with Jacksonville and Pittsburgh. Jacksonville travels up to Pittsburgh to take on the Power, and if week 1 was any indication, it looks like the Sharks' defense will be one to be reckoned with all season long. And when you look at their secondary, they match up very well versus everyone they're going to face. Their outstanding cornerback, Michael Robinson, these guys are very big, they're athletic, and they all have ball skills, so that makes it tough to throw against Jacksonville. But when you look at Pittsburgh, you see a young team trying to take those necessary steps to be relevant. I like what I saw last week out of Christian Wise, the outstanding receiver. Young quarterback Jordan Jefferson, in his first outing as an Arena Football League quarterback, did some good things, did some solid things, but also has some room for improvement. I like Jacksonville to win this game. I don't think there's enough offensive firepower in Pittsburgh just yet to be effective. Let's go out west to the Pavilion as San Jose takes on Orlando. And last week, that offense struggled for San Jose. Huey Whitaker didn't struggle. He had 4 touchdowns. But when you look at the passing game, I fully expected Aaron Garcia to come out, lighten it up. He threw 3 interceptions. That can't happen this week. Otherwise, Orlando will go out there and knock these guys off. And when you look at the Predators in this game, you look at what happened last week. They struggled in the red zone. 2 of 5 with those red zone opportunities. That can't happen versus a team that has the potential to be dominant as San Jose. With that said, I do like the SaberCats at home to knock off the Orlando Predators. Big battle in Tampa Bay between the Storm and the Gladiators. And when you look at the Storm last week, you had an efficient showing from Adrian McPherson, who was back in the Arena Football League, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, but they couldn't get the ball in the end zone. You look at Greg Ellington's outstanding day, over 100 yards, no touchdowns. That has to improve. Now, on the flip side, when you look at the Gladiators, they gave up 9 touchdowns in 9 red zone trips. That will not get it done, which is why I think the Storm finds their stride versus Cleveland and comes away victorious. Spokane travels to the Midwest to take on Chicago, and you have to be happy for a guy like Eric Meyer, who missed the entire 2012 campaign with an injury, but came back last week, 32 of 42, 8 touchdown passes in a victory versus Cleveland. Now versus Chicago, it's going to be a stiffer test defensively. He's going to have to make sure he protects the football in order to come away victorious. And when you look at Chicago, offense struggled with consistency last week. Defense came to play despite giving up 67 points. Jack linebacker Melvin Norris was an outstanding player all last season and started off the 2013 campaign the same way. I like Spokane, though. I don't think Chicago's offense is where it needs to be right now at this point in the season. Look for the rush to take one on the chin, a team that's usually strong at home. In the battle of unbeatens between Iowa and New Orleans, you look at the offense of the Barnstormers. Last week, J.J. Redick, 73% completion percentage, 7 touchdown passes, 3 different wide receivers. Marco Thomas and Darius Reynolds had a field day. Now they're going to have a tougher task this week versus that Voodoo defense. Can they improve defensively? Because the Voodoo also have an explosive offense. We probably will see the debut of Donovan Morgan. Now let's move over to New Orleans. You look at their defense. I mentioned it before. Eddie Moten and company had a great day. They had to go into overtime, however, to knock off Orlando. Tougher task coming into town this weekend. If they can hold their own in the red zone, I like the Voodoo's chances. However, I like that offense of Iowa. I think they come in and win this ball game. Will Donovan Morgan play? That's going to be the biggest question. That could add more firepower to that Voodoo offense. But right now, I have to go with the Barnstormers coming on the road to knock off the New Orleans Voodoo.